Hey viewer, we chatted a bit last time about social media and echo chambers, but this time I want to focus on an unsung hero of liberalism, which social media has crushed like how Gordon Ramsay crushes the hope of aspiring restaurateurs. If I ask you, when you hear liberalism, what you think of, you probably will say something along the lines of freedom to say what you want, do what you want, and watch Hell's Kitchen whenever you want. But I doubt any of you would ever give me the answer being polite. Yes, you heard it right, politeness. But why is politeness important to liberalism or politics at all? And how has social media destroyed it? Well, I'm glad you asked. Most of the stuff I'll be talking about today are inspired by the works of David Hume and commentaries on Hume by Mark Hanveld. So if this is a topic you find interesting, I suggest giving them a go. Anyway, politeness. First, we need to define what is politeness. For those of you who are traumatized by the wooden spoon, politeness and etiquette need no introduction. But for the rest of you, politeness and etiquette are basically a way we engage with people that makes us pleasant to be around. Everyone likes to engage with polite people. When you are polite, you are making others around you feel pleasant and making yourself admirable in their eyes. However, being polite is hard work. You need to read the room, be familiar with the cultural background of people you're engaging with, and, most importantly, be able to keep your emotions under control because people you're engaging with are not always people you like. Politeness and etiquette take culturally unique twists. In some cultures, you have to talk louder, while in others, you have to talk quieter. Or in some cultures, you have to finish all the food in your plate, while in others, you don't. However, every culture has a version of politeness. So, what is it about politeness which makes it liberally important? Part of being polite is about being able to control your emotions, especially in tense conversations. This is something that is very important if you're trying to engage in political debates in a public setting. Polite conversations follow a certain set of rules, one of which is to conduct a conversation in a productive manner. Yeah, it's fun to watch two of your favorite political YouTubers go at it, insulting each other's mothers, but these types of debates aren't productive as they don't lead to compromise, which is essential for political projects to move forward. Whether we are talking about tax policies or building infrastructures, compromise is inevitable. Since different values occupy the same country, we need to be able to compromise so to have a productive political conversation. Let's say you are engaging with person A and person B, both of whom hate your guts. When you go to person A, they turn around and say, "I hate you." This is genuinely how they feel, but by expressing it in such an overt way, you are now less likely to compromise because why should you? If the other side refuses to acknowledge your beliefs as worthy of consideration, why should you give them the benefit of the doubt? Now let's say you approach person B, who also hates you because of your beliefs, and probably because you smell. Person B says to you, however, "Oh, this is what you believe? May I ask how you reached this conclusion?" Now, despite person B hating you, they're trying to establish a proper rapport with you by being polite, which translates to being open to hearing your side. You will be infinitely more likely to compromise with person B than person A because one is expressing their disagreement with you in a polite and eloquent way by asking you to explain yourself and then maybe even point out some of the contentions so you can initiate a dialogue. Politeness requires certain habits that helps people conduct themselves in public settings in a way that leads to productive and fruitful interactions. Being polite makes one pleasant to be around, which is why whenever you go for a job interview, you are on your best behavior, and why the old saying goes, you can catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. Politeness is both socially and politically important for liberalism because it makes for a pleasant public sphere where people can have fruitful and pleasant dialogues rather than vicious and unpleasant ones, which the public sphere needs if it is to become less polarized. Success of people on social media is contingent on the number of eyes on them. So it produces an incentive for people to become more incendiary than they otherwise would because of the shock value it produces. Again, you are more likely to watch two people attack each other over personal matters than to watch an Oxford debate about the state of your country's economy because, well, one is boring and the other one isn't. There is and should be a place for Jerry Springer-like engagement, but social media incentivizes people to only have those types of engagements because that's how content creators get noticed. I love Hell's Kitchen as much as the next guy, but I don't really want Poilievre to call Trudeau a muppet or vice versa. I want a productive debate which leads to fruitful conclusions so that the policies that are going to get passed are clear and coherent. Furthermore, I don't want a society so divided over every single issue that any discussion devolves into a yelling match. I want a public sphere where people can talk in a pleasant manner and understand the other side, especially when disagree, because in the immortal wisdom of John Stuart Mill, if you only understand your side, then you will never know what is true or false as you're not exposed to contrary opinions. Living in a Jerry Springer show can be fun once a week, but not every day. Being angry all the time is exhausting. Lastly, being polite means not saying certain things that you want to say because it might not be the appropriate thing to say. This helps foster a pleasant environment, but you have to forgo what it is that you want to say to some extent. Some would consider this as being against the spirit of freedom of expression, suggesting that people should have the right to be who they are or want to be always and at all times. That is true. You should be able to be who you want to be at all times. But that also means you might be someone others don't really want to associate with or be around. Sometimes, for the sake of making connections, we do need to forgo what it is that we want to say and have to read the room to discern what is the appropriate thing to say in order to form social bonds. This is why you're picking your nose right now as you're watching this video, but wouldn't do it on a date because it's nasty. Anywho, social media has incentivized us to become more crass and rude under the guise that this is who we are. But we are also feeling creatures who want to form communities and bonds. Politeness is an imperative component of that, and for liberalism to be able to foster a meaningful way for people to form small little communities and friendships, its citizens need to re-emphasize politeness in their day-to-day interactions. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to binge Hell's Kitchen for the 90th time.